My peace is a direct reflection of the peace I cultivate. Let's begin. Every bright spot and pain point in your life happens for a reason. What's meant for you will give you energy, and what's not meant for you will drain you. Your life is filled with choices. It's filled with patterns that constantly repeat themselves, and I'm amazed at the total ebb and flow of it all. It was that ebb and flow in my life that brought me to the book Zero Limits by Joe Vitale. In his book, Joe describes the secret Hawaiian system for wealth, peace, and more. The book is an absolute life changer, and even if you don't read past page 37, it's a life changer. There are four powerful statements it taught me to repeat over and over. It's the process of cleansing and bringing me closer to source. I simply say and repeat, Ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I say this repeatedly over and over. It's a self-cleansing process. I, Harvey Johnson, take responsibility for the problems I see. Everything that appears in my life is an outward projection of my inner program. When I spot something in another that I don't like, I have it in me as well. And my job is to clean it. I give it to source. Let me explain. You see, Joe Vitale describes his relationship with Dr. Hugh Lin, a therapist. Dr. Lin worked at the Hawaii State Hospital for 3 years, I believe. He worked the ward where they kept the criminally insane, their most dangerous patients. This was a ward where the staff frequently called in sick, and there was extreme or high turbulence turnover. Anyone who went to that ward was under constant threat of being attacked by patients. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. You see, Dr. Lin was assigned to that ward, but he never actually saw patients in person. He never had interactions with them personally. Instead, and this is incredible, he reviewed their files one at a time and would then work on himself. It's called cleaning. He would work on himself. He took responsibility for the violent acts and the bad behavior. I mean, he didn't blame them. Instead, he said, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. As he did this, as he worked on himself, the patients began to heal. This is even more fascinating when after a few months of doing this, many of the patients were then allowed to walk freely within the facility unrestrained. The patients who were heavily medicated began getting reduced amounts or coming off the medication altogether. Patients who were categorized as having no chance of being released were soon free to go. I mean, I was absolutely blown away as I read this. All of this is documented. Dr. Lin taught me that total responsibility for my life means that everything in life, simply because it is in my life, is my responsibility. This was not that hard for me to accept because I was a student of Oneness by Rasha. I was a student of Wonders and Miracles by Nellie Johnson. I was a student of the laws of the universe. So I understood that I create the world I see. You ever notice that whenever there's a problem, there you are? How about when things are amazing? When you're at peace, there you are again. You're the one constant no matter what happens. So I understood and accepted that about my life. Everything is energy, and we attract based on the energy within. So let me get this straight. I was not only responsible for my actions, but you're telling me I am also responsible for crime, murder, poverty, war, that these things are somehow my fault. The problem isn't with them, it's with me. And yes, it's my fault, and I need to clean, clean, clean. I have created the world I see from my experiences, either this life or past lives, consciously or subconsciously. Somewhere, part of me, deep within, believes wars happen. War is natural. Part Part of one's life includes murder. Sometimes there's violence. These things happen. So when it happens, I need to clean. But I also brought cookouts, beautiful music, and all the things that were right with the world is also something I brought with me that I see, that I take responsibility for. Let's try to imagine this another way. Imagine building a smaller model of the world. Let's say there was 3D software that would allow this. I would create everything in this new world. You create everything. So if one of the characters I created hurts someone, that's on me. I designed every character. If there's terminal illness and suffering, that's me again. I created it. And I could also unscript it and write it out of the program. But if I'm programmed to accept disease, if I'm programmed to accept hurt and pain, then they will be present in this new world I created. I never stop learning. This is a constant lesson to never blame, but rather take responsibility for everything I see. If someone tells me their cousin just got fired, I now own that problem too. There's a problem. And once again, there I am. It doesn't matter what it is. So I now automatically begin healing them by healing myself. Let the cleaning begin. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I have a very open mind. I always have. But even this one took me a moment to grasp, because blame is much easier than taking responsibility. What do you mean, again, it's my fault? Maybe I didn't physically cause the act of suffering or pain, but it was through my thoughts, words, and actions. My energy is attracting what I'm seeing. So now what? How do I begin the healing? To cleanse or to heal myself is actually not that hard. It's actually pretty simple. And it begins with Ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Repete. Repeat this over and over and over again. I love you. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. I say this to Source. Source, God, whatever you want to call Source. You see, it's a gift that grounds and opens me to work with Source, to cleanse my thoughts, my words, my actions, to cleanse my energy. It brings me to a state of zero. And it's at the state of zero where I can inspire and create the world I want. The past, it washes it of that. I can create from zero. Joe Vitale explains this in Zero Limits. Dr. Hugh Lin went on to explain, he just kept repeating over and over, I'm sorry, I love you, as he reviewed the files of each of those patients. That ward is now shut down. It was no longer needed. The patients were released. The transformation that took place was a miracle that he created. So I asked myself, what's going on inside of me that I have caused the problems I see? How can I heal myself to change what's wrong with the world? Throughout my day, I practice cleansing. When someone pulls out in front of me and cuts me off in the car, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Someone on the news commits an armed robbery, I love you. I'm sorry. The politician said or did what? I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. It's to the point now where the first thing I think of when I wake up is this. I start saying it as soon as I wake up. Whenever I'm interacting with people and they share their ups and downs of what's going on, I'm saying it to myself nonstop. I love you. I'm sorry. Try also repeating this prayer. Say this, but truly mean it with no reservations. For here the power of salvation lies. You simply say, I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. Every day, I will do the inner work. Every day, I will radiate love. I reap what I sow, and my current peace is the harvest. Thank you for listening to me.